There's really no more traumatic experience for parents than to be separated from a medically needy child who requires care in another location. And once that child is through the life-threatening episode and then requires ongoing care, it's a tremendous burden on the family and on their finances to have to go 300 miles to receive the care that is needed. And for children who have ongoing chronic needs, pediatric rehab or specific subspecialty medical care, anything we can do to make that happen in St. George and deliver the same care that they would be receiving in Salt Lake City or one of the surrounding centers is to the benefit of that family, and that's what we want to build and do.
So we have birthing services. In the last few years, we've expanded that to include an MFM clinic for high-risk complicated pregnancies. We're turning our attention now onto that population of patients that's in the middle, those newborn ICU graduates that grow up to be pediatric patients, and those school-aged children that get acute illnesses or have chronic illnesses that are leaving our community and getting care at Primary Children's or elsewhere in the state.
One of the exciting things that's happening over the next year is the new outpatient pavilion that's being built over on the River Road campus. This will allow us to provide pediatric rehabilitation services and to provide support for some of our patients who've been in newborn intensive care or pediatric intensive care, and be able to keep those services here in the community in a very comfortable environment with state-of-the-art support.
I thought we'd be lucky to get one baby, and then lo and behold it was 4.
We went from single to 6 in 13 months.
I was worried about their health because of all the complications that they have with multiple births.
You know, ranging in 1 pound 12 ounces to 2 pounds 4 ounces in size. They were born at 27 weeks to the day. They told us that we were in our honeymoon period for the first 2 days, and they seemed to be all perfect. I couldn't see them for 24 hours, but Stephen would take videos and report back to my room and show them to me and tell me about how perfect each one of them were. And after about 3 days, everything fell apart for us.
Every single one of them had problems after 2 days. We were living hour to hour instead of day to day because we didn't know what was going to happen next, or what problems were going to be next with which baby.
They took us in a room and told us that Stephen would not have any quality of life whatsoever, and that we would have to make a tough decision. And it was a very tough decision, and we decided that we wanted to forge ahead with him.
We had to leave Stephen at primary for 3 more months.
It was one of the most difficult times for us, was leaving little Stephen behind. My parents were in Salt Lake, and they'd check in on him every day. He had 3 or 4 surgeries that we weren't there for. We got there shortly after he was wheeled into the NICU, and we walked over in the corner and pulled down the blanket and looked at him. He didn't look like our baby. He was still so sick.
There were times when I just didn't think he was going to make it at all.
As we thought we were going to lose him so many times, Stephen just kept saying, I just picture a little tree house with 2 little boys, missing 1 little boy. We've got to fight for this. He's got to be okay. He'll be okay. We'll get him home. We were told by our pediatrician October 31st of 2006 that our babies were pretty significantly behind.
They need therapy and attention on a very regular basis, and it's very important to intervene as quickly as possible, because the sooner you intervene, the less the long-term disability.
They could barely walk, they couldn't jump, were having trouble with just moving, doing different movements. And eating, but they've taught them all that in the therapy. They've changed dramatically thanks to the therapy. They can walk and climb, and they couldn't hardly even jump before. They're more interactive with each other.
With the NICU, we have more and more children who are going to need those services. The earlier those children are born, the more likely they are to have difficulties that will require them to have physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, feeding issues.
They're learning new things every day, and thanks to the therapy, they're teaching themselves things, and every day it's something new.
We are forever indebted to our great therapists. Our family will never be the same.
I'd like to tell them thanks, because the babies would not have been this well without them.
As somebody who has some challenges myself, I remember the impact that a physical therapy had on me. The realization that my body could change and that I had more control over my body than I realized was an extremely powerful moment for me. And as I see that happen in the lives of many of my patients, it's an extremely moving and exciting experience. So though it's not life and death, it is an extremely important thing for the families. And it has lifelong consequences, which is in some ways more important than life and death, because these kids live long lives and they need those feelings of confidence and peace and happiness that come from knowing that they are able to progress just like everybody else. We've had great support from our community as we built the new hospital, as we brought the NICU online, and it was very exciting to see how happy and excited people were in the community to support those new services. Now we are trying to address a gap in care between the NICU and the adult intensive care services. And we are grateful that the community is willing to step up again and help us go to that next level.
They say it takes a village, and in our case it really honestly has. It's taken a whole community to bring these 4 little babies into the world and to grow them up and help them become the people that they need to become. It's something that isn't possible without the giving and generosity of people in this community.